Okay, welcome to our recording of Bhagavatamrta. We are reading from part 2, Glories of Goloka, chapters entitled Jnana, Knowledge, and we're on text 225, but we're going to begin with 224. It gives us a nice context. And we're coming to the end of this chapter, actually. The end of this chapter. The next, next chapter is called Bhajana. And that chapter, okay. Then the chapter after that is called Vaikuntha. And then we go to the next volume. Okay, Hare Krishna. So let me share the screen. I'm recording. Yes. Did we say prayers to Srila Prabhupada yet?
No.
No. Nama Om Vishnu Pataya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Namaste Sarisati Devi Gauravani Pachaline. Nivasisha Sunyahadi Paschatara Sadhana. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Let me just open the window here.
Yeah, I just did open the door.
It's a balmy day today, nice and warm. Hare Krishna. And we can share.
Look, because I think Gaia and they all at the seaside somewhere.
Oh, nice. Making sandcastles. Hare Krishna.
Children.
Why can't all this Brhad Bhagavat? Oh, it's doing silly things. It's not showing. Let me try and what's going on here? I guess you can just see a blank screen, huh?
Yeah.
Blank. Do you both have a book? Mother Bangalatika, do you have the book with you?
I have a book on the shelf. I just have to get it.
Yeah, why don't you grab it? I think Anupama has a copy. I think she's reading.
Yes, Prabhu, I have a copy of Krishna.
Chandravali, do you have a copy?
Yeah, so we can read. You don't need to put yours on.
Okay, well, I'll leave it here and see, because it does regenerate itself. So just in case people join. So let's just go with an old-fashioned hard copy of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. And we should have hard copies, actually, because we never know what's going to happen. If it hits the fan and everything breaks down and we have no internet, we have no electricity, and we have a candle, and we have the book, we can read.
Read candlelight.
Yes. All right, so I thought to go to text 224.
Which one?
224.
No, I thought it was text 225, Prabhu. So we
Yeah,
started.
as I said, just to give us some context, because it starts a new section. So I thought I go back and read this verse. This is the last few verses of this chapter. So perhaps I can just read this.
What's the chapter?
Chapter is Jnana, Knowledge, chapter 2. Part 2. Chapter 2, Jnana, Knowledge, 224.
23, 24.
Yeah, so remember, a comparison is being made between liberation in bhakti and liberation as per se, or impersonal liberation, and the experience of the both. It's being wonderfully described by the Bhakti Shastra. So now it's the conclusion. 223 to 224. If you haven't, I think now they're speaking directly to Gopal-Kumara. Specific instructions. If you have indeed realized the pettiness of liberation, mokshaya, and want to attain the treasure of firm faith in pure devotional service, to the Lord, then simply worship your transcendental mantra. Bhajana Param. And please hear, sorry, I'm looking at the Sanskrit. I'm taking a really interested in Sanskrit lately. Srinato, which is Hridayam, which is pleasing to the heart. So please hear this great secret. So a great secret is going to now be given. Okay, commentary. With the help of the Bhakti Sastras, Gopal-Kumara, like many before him, has now realized the insignificance of impersonal liberation. He is now ready to dedicate himself exclusively to pure devotion, service, and has set his goal the highest ideals of bhakti. For this purpose, the Bhakti Sastras advise that he not only continue serving the mantra given him by his exalted spiritual master, that mantra will surely fulfill whatever desires he may have, including a desire for pure devotion. I think we can extrapolate that we have also been given a mantra, the Maha Mantra, by our exalted spiritual masters. So the fruits which will come from Gopal-Kumara's chanting will also come our way if we chant without the fence. It may be true that the words and conduct of great spiritual persons should be accepted as authoritative, but without direct perception, one will be unable to realize the truths that great souls represent. Without first developing tattva gyan, scientific knowledge, one cannot acquire this experience, nor without tattva gyan can one who aspires for prema bhakti gain the strength to give up inferior attachments. Therefore, Gopal-Kumara should faithfully chant his mantra, so that first he may achieve liberation, moksha, then reach the final perfection. As the Bhakti Sastras are about to reveal, the liberation Gopal-Kumara achieves will be personal. Thus, he should not be repelled by the word moksha. So his moksha will be a personal one, not impersonal. Okay, Hare Krishna, hand it over to someone else who would like to read. And we're starting now because we read this last week, but it was a good context.
Yeah, I can read.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Chapter 2, text 225. Outside the egg of the universe, which extends for 500 million yojanas, are 8 covering shells, each 10 times thicker than the one before. Commentary. The 8 shells covering the universe consist of earth, water, fire, air, ether, ego, mahat, and pradhan. These layers form the stock of subtle, causal ingredients from which all things in material existence are produced. Some philosophers consider the covering of the earth to be part of the internal structure of the universe, and so recognize only 7 shells. That idea, however, conflicts with the measurement for the diameter of the universe as 500 million yojanas, and it also leaves the transformations of earth within the universe with no identifiable primary source. Text 226. By crossing beyond these shells, one reaches the abode of Lord Mahakala, the imperishable abode where material existence disappears. It is called Mahakalapura because there all material causes and effects are non-existent. Commentary. Mahakalapura, famous as the place to which Krishna and Arjuna made their way to retrieve the sons of Dwarka Brahmana, is the location and the essential identity of nirvana or sayuja, the liberation of becoming one with the Supreme. Of course, from the absolute point of view, liberation is not confined to some specific location. Nonetheless, in spatial terms, it is conceived as being outside the coverings of the material cosmos. This same conception should be applied to the various spiritual locations Gopal-Kumara will visit later. The material creation consists of gross and subtle causes, karanas, such as the 5 basic elements, and gross and subtle products, karyas, like the bodies and senses of the living entities. In the realm of Mahakalapura, these karanas and karyas are not to be found. Text 227. Lord Mahakala's personality cannot be described, but wise sages somehow describe him. He appears with form or without, in accord with the various mentalities of his worshippers. Commentary. The real identity of Lord Mahakala is beyond the power of words to describe, but transcendental scholars somehow attempt to describe him. Nositam nachasam suvarnavadatam prasanam sadananda samvit swarupam. He is neither cold nor hot, but is brilliant like gold. He is the perfectly satisfied self, or perpetual bliss and awareness. Those who have no better evidence to depend on than theoretical knowledge perceive him as best they can, some seeing him with personal form and others as formless. In Sri Harivamsa 2.113.25, Arjuna tells how, according to his ability, he saw Mahakala. Then I saw in the ether a brilliant light. It pervaded the entire cosmos, yet was situated in one place in a personal form. The Supreme Lord is always a person, but those attached to dry knowledge think of him as formless and impersonal. Be that as it may, the devotees of the Lord can always discern his personal form. Text 228. The Lord's servants whose desires take them to Mahakalapura see him there in their hearts as the concentrated form of the absolute truth. Commentary. Liberated Vaishnavas are free in all their movements. If they travel to Mahakalapura, it is only because they want to see the Lord there as Brahman in person. And text 229. And so by the potency of your transcendental mantra, there you will directly achieve the complete fulfillment of your long cherished desires. Commentary. Though Gopal-Kumara has long hankered to see the Lord he has been worshipping by his mantra, he doubts his own qualification to achieve this, because he knows that to see the Lord in person, one must be his fully surrendered servant. But the Bhakti Shastris remind him that his 10-syllable mantra to Srimad and Gopal is all-powerful. Text 230. If you do not wish to spend a long time here, then just go to your Vrajbhumi in Sri Mathura. Commentary. Some residents of Lord Brahma's planet are completely free from material desires, and some are not. At the end of Brahma's life, those who still have material desires return to lower planets, and those who are desireless attain liberation along with Brahma. Brahma's life, however, lasts for 2 praradas, the very lifetime of the universe, and Gopal-Kumara may not want to wait that long to graduate from the material world. The supreme material powers and enjoyment available on Brahmaloka delay the attainment of the Supreme Lord's kingdom. But if Gopal-Kumara descends from Brahmaloka to the places on earth where Sri Krishna sports, Sri Vrindavan, Govardhan, and so on, all his desires will be quickly fulfilled.
Just some pause here to try and understand. There's a form that's being described called Mahakala.
Yeah.
Mahakala, anyone could help me to try and understand, is this referring to a specific form of Garbhadaksha Vishnu or Mahavishnu? Mahakala generally
is this Mahakala on Lord Brahma's planet? Because we were talking about Mahakala, and then he was saying, then they say some residents of Lord Brahma's planet. So I'm thinking, are we talking about the same place?
Well, I'm just going back, looking at the verses. So outside the egg of the universe. Okay. That's been, so we're looking at outside the material universes. Okay. So beyond the Viraj River,
Mahakala.
of Mahakala. So it's a famous, we read it's a Malapura, a place where Lord Mahakala resides. It's a famous place in which Krishna and Arjuna made their way to retrieve the sons of Dwarka. So I think it's Mahavishnu that's been described here.
I was just going to remind you, do you know the story of how protecting the Brahmans were being killed? And then Arjuna said, I will protect.
Yeah, so I think we might conclude this is a form of Mahavishnu that's being described, because that's in the Krishna book, at least, as far as I can recall. As Mother Chandravati said, Krishna and Arjuna go to, or Mahavishnu arranges the whole situation so he can take darshan of the Swami Bhagavan, the origin Lord, of which he is the manifestation of. All right. So,
Why I remember this, because I was thinking to myself, look at this, Krishna wants to see Krishna, like Mahavishnu Krishna wants to see.
Krishna wants to see
And he
Krishna.
made, and then I vividly remember how they were going through such a speed and going through all this
As we
dark
just described, the
spaces.
different shells of the universe.
Yes,
And
yes,
always,
that's what I
and
remember.
always astounding, yeah.
Yeah.
So this has been described to Gopal-Kumara, it seems. It seems he's not personally there. At least because that's what I can fathom. Although it seems like he's there, because the verse we just read, if you do not wish to spend a long time here, or perhaps he's referring to what he's just described, then just go to your Raj Bhumi in Mathura. Anyway, let's at the end of Brahma's life, those somewhere of Lord Brahma's planet. So it's mentioned Lord Brahma's planet are completely free from material desires, and some are not. At the end of his life, those with material desires return to the lower planets, and those who are desireless attain liberation. Interesting environment on Brahmaloka. There's persons who have material desires, as well as those who have no material desires. Gopal-Kumara may not want to wait that long to graduate from the material world. So he has, he is described, he is a Vaishnava, an accomplished Vaishnava like Narada Muni, who can travel with no restrictions. So he doesn't have to sit it out in Brahmaloka. He can go straight to Sri Mathura. Yeah. All right, okay.
Prabhu, can I please ask a question?
Yes, please.
In text 2 to 5, it says 500 million yojanas. What is a yojana? I don't know.
I'll have to look that up. A yojana is a specific amount from our perspective. Top of my head, I don't know. There's a certain number, which I don't know. I think a yojana is equivalent to 50 miles or something like that, or 10 miles. I can only speculate. Perhaps I can look after this and I send it to.
Okay. Thank you.
But whatever it is, it's pretty big.
Okay.
Yeah, and each shell is thicker than 10 times thicker than the one before. Yeah. Okay, let's read on. 3, 2, 3, 1. You like to read, Anupama? Anupama, you like to read?
Is it 2 to 7 I'm reading, yeah? Sorry. Yeah.
Is it 227? No, I don't think it is.
Done that.
No, I think it's 232. Oh, 231.
Yes,
231. Sorry, my pages went, my pages went back. Okay, 231.
Yeah.
Sri Gopal-Kumara said, O Mathura Brahmana, these words of the scriptures greatly strengthened my devotion for the Supreme Lord, and this thought was born in my heart. Text 232. Here I have gained in person, as my own father, the Lord whose devotional service is so great. Why indeed should I abandon him to go elsewhere? Commentary. Gopal-Kumara now understands that mukti is bhakti's maidservant, and that bhakti offers inconceivable bliss. On Brahmaloka, Lord Mahapurusha, the object of devotional service, has been caring for Gopal-Kumara as a father indulges a son. This is difficult for Gopal-Kumara to leave him. It is difficult for Gopal-Kumara to leave him. Text 233. When my mind was thus perturbed, that Supreme Lord himself, the reservoir of mercy, who knows what takes place in everybody's heart, visited me and spoke. Commentary. Lord Mahapurusha, the ruling deity of Brahmalok, knows everything that takes place in every creature's heart. So he knew of Gopal-Kumara's conflict over wanting to go to Rajabhumi and not wanting to leave him. To settle Gopal-Kumara's mind, the Lord came to speak words from his own divine mouth to comfort him. Text 234. The Blessed Lord said, "Go to Mathura, to your dearest pasturing grounds, to the land adorned with many places of my varied supreme pastimes." Commentary. The Rasa dance and other pastimes Sri Krishna performs in Vraj are the most exalted of the Supreme Lord's activities. Those pastimes take place in Vraj on earth, and therefore Vraja is much greater than Brahmaloka. Text 235. Though a long time has passed since Lord Brahma himself prayed for birth as a blade of grass in Vraj, that land now appears the same as then. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara may doubt whether he should leave Lord Mahapurush after having attained him in Brahmaloka, the highest destination in this world. The Lord answers that to gain the unique ecstasy of meeting him in special place, going elsewhere is right. Brahma himself prayed to be born in Vraj, even as a blade of grass. Residing in Vraja is therefore even better than holding the position of Brahma, the highest seat of universal authority. But Gopal-Kumara may have a further doubt. In the time he has been living on the higher planets, where 1 year equals many lifetimes on earth, Vraj may have changed so much that it may no longer be attractive. The Lord assures him, however, that Vraja is the same as when he saw it last. Being unaffected by the decaying powers of time is another way that Vraj is greater than Brahmalok.
Yeah, just to recap, remember that the whole story started because Gopal-Kumara is actually happens to be a cowherd boy of Vraj, but Bhoma Vrindavan. And then he meets his guru, as described in the next verse, and then what we've been reading for the last couple of months, I think, is his journey throughout the different realms. And now he's finally coming, now he's going to be coming back to where the whole thing started. Yeah. And yeah, so it's quite a significant part. He's now coming back. So just remember that he wasn't fully satiated or satisfied wherever he went. Although here he's on, again, this is the Mahapurusha, I think it's another name for the Mahakala form of the Lord, the Mahapurusha. So he's going to go on now because the Bhakti Sastra scriptures are encouraging him to go to the land of Vraj. Yeah, just for myself trying to understand where we are. And Mother Lavangalatika, Mother Anupama, just looked online, and for your interest, a yojana is between 9 miles.
1 yojana, 9 miles. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. There's an interesting fact.
Okay, excellent.
Which I'm sure will make your life more complete now that you know that.
No, I was trying to figure out, how many millions and how many miles. That's the question that came into mind.
And
it says 400.
Get a calculator out, and you have to turn it the other way around, though.
Okay.
Big numbers.
Thank you.
You would like to read on?
Okay. Text 236. There you will again meet your guru, most dear to me, and by his mercy you will be empowered to understand everything in full. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara may object that in Brajabhumi there will be no one to advise him, whereas on Brahmalok, Lord Mahapurusha is at his side to mercifully inform him of everything he should do. But the Lord assures him that in Braj he will meet again the great Vaishnava who initiated him into the chanting of his mantra. Because that guru is very dear devotee of the Lord, Gopal-Kumara can expect to learn from the guru even more about devotional service than from the Lord himself. Thus, Lord Mahapurusha emphatically uses the word shrivam, everything.
Sarvam. Yeah, idam sarvam, everything.
Everything. Nitaram, completely, and swayam, by your own power. Text 237. Indeed, you will soon come to see me in person in Mahakalpura. There you will attain extreme bliss that will enchant your heart. Commentary. Mahakalapura, the abode of mukti, is also the residence of Lord Mahakal. But Lord Mahapurusha on Brahmalok is non-different from Lord Mahakal. Why then even bother to go? Why not just stay on Brahmalok? The answer given here is that in Mahakalpura, Gopal-Kumara will realize his Lord even more fully, and his heart will be filled with even greater ecstasy. Text 238. By the power of my mercy, you will wander about freely and enter into hundreds of amazing wonders. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara wants completely to enjoy with his Lord in Sri Vrindavan. But as Lord Mahapurusha is about to explain, that will happen in due course. Meanwhile, after a brief visit to Raj, Gopal-Kumara will continue his journey through the 8 coverings of the universe to the abode of liberation and to Sri Vaikuntha and beyond, fulfilling his various desires. Text 239. After some time, dear son, all your ambitions will be satisfied, and you will play with me as you like in Vrindavan. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara need not worry that these wanderings will continue for long. Soon enough, he will reach his final destination. As expressed by the word Pura, dear son, the Lord is affectionate to him and will ensure that everything promised comes true. Gopal-Kumara will at last achieve the association of Sri Madan Gopal Deva in Goloka Vrindavan, both on earth and in the spiritual world. Text 240. Sri Gopal-Kumara said, thus overcome with both joy and sorrow at the Lord's command, by the power of my mind, I at once come to this beautiful Vrindavan. Commentary.
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry. Gopal-Kumara uses the phrase, Itad Vrindavanam. This Vrindavan, because Sri Vrindavan is where he's speaking to his student. The Mathura Brahmana, Gopal-Kumara reached that most beautiful place quickly, traveling at the speed of mind. He felt joyful that eventually he will play with his Lord in Sri Vrindavan, but also unhappy that for some time he would have to keep tolerating the pain of separation from him. Thus ends the 2nd chapter of part 2 of Srila Sanatan Goswami's Brhad Bhagavatamrta entitled Jnana Knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Dun, 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 dun. So we finished this chapter. The next chapter is Bhajana. So we clear what's happening here. Seems there are 2 different deities being explained, Mahakala and Mahapurusha, but they are actually non-different. The point of tattva. Yeah. So he's been and remember, this is a conversation. This last paragraph, purple, just reminds us again. Gopal-Kumara, he's actually relating what he experienced to his student. Remember that? There was a meeting and he's explaining his journey. They both happen to have the same Gopal mantra. And as far as I remember, Gopal, it said here, because in Vrindavan is where he is speaking to his student, Brahmana. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Don't think I understand it completely clearly. I've got a kind of idea of what's going on as far as where he is and where he's going. But all can ascertain he's on the way to Mathura. All right. Let's read on. Mother Lavangalatuka, do you have a copy there? Did you read yet? I can't. There's only 3 of us here. I can't remember who read that.
Yes, I read, but I can read some more.
Chandravali, you like to read?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, yes.
Go ahead. Text 1. And I'll have a read after that.
This is Bhajan, worship.
Yeah.
Sri Gopal-Kumara said, when I came from Brahmaloka to this earth, I saw that nowhere was there even a hint of the way things had been before. Commentary. In this third chapter, Gopal-Kumara crosses the 8 coverings of the universe and enters the abode of mukti, liberation. There, in the presence of Lord Siva, servants of Lord of Vaikuntha explains to him the characteristic of pure devotional service. Gopal-Kumara first returns to Mathura Mandal, where the truth of the Supreme Lord's words is shown to him. The Lord had declared that Sri Mathura is never disturbed by the influence of time, and now Gopal-Kumara sees this for himself. While he had been away on the higher planets, the rest of the world had completely changed, and not a trace remained of the demigods, humans, and other creatures who had been there before. Text 2. Only Sri Mathura district looked just as it had before, grazed with the same forests, mountains, and rivers, and filled with the same kind of creatures. Commentary. The forest of Mathura appeared as always, with the same kinds of trees, bushes, and creepers, the same mountains, such as Sri Govardhan, and the same rivers, like Sri Kalindi, and the same kind of moving creatures, birds, animals, and human beings.
So it's describing here the tattva of Vrindavan, where it's not annihilated at the time of annihilation. It remains as it is, because it's the Lord's abode. So exactly how that works on the planet Earth, exactly, when everything is annihilated, that place remains as it is. Yeah, it's not. So whereas there has been manifestation and annihilation since he's been away, probably thousands of times. So there's no trace of anyone. All the demigods have come and gone probably thousands of times since he's been away. But amazingly, as he was told, Sri Mathura is just the same. So that's the transcendental nature of Mathura Mandala. It's eternal. It's an eternal abode, at least from the higher spiritual perspective. Any questions on that or comments? So you could just read on. Okay.
Okay. Text 3. Remembering the Supreme Lord's order, I wandered throughout Vrindavan. When I entered this very same grove, I saw my spiritual master, unconscious in a trance of ecstatic love. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara remembered what the personality of God had told him. Go to Vrindavan, there you will find your beloved spiritual master. Text 4. With great endeavor, I brought that all-knowing sage back to normal. And when he saw me bowing down before him, he embraced me, at once understanding the desire in my heart. Commentary. By such means as sprinkling him with water, Gopal-Kumara brought his spiritual master out of trance. The spiritual master understood without being told that Gopal-Kumara wanted to know how to reach the abode of liberation. Text 5. He bathed and then taught me various rules for worshipping and meditating on the mantra he had given. Some of these instructions he spoke and others he gave me through gestures. Commentary. Because the Guru had been in a deep trance of overflowing prema, his face was soiled with saliva, mucus, and tears. He therefore went to the Yamuna to purify himself. Then he gave Gopal-Kumara instruction on how to worship the mantra, teaching for which there had not been time in their previous meetings. Besides the basic method of meditation, the Guru also taught Gopal-Kumara how to apply the syllables of the mantra to the parts of one's body by touching the body and chanting, how to use appropriate hand gestures, and other details of worship. Certain methods he taught verbally, such as touching the body while chanting, Other methods, such as how to meditate on the Lord's personal form, he taught by pointing and giving indication. He gave some of the lessons non-verbally because giving explicit description might have evoked a remembrance of the Lord's form so vivid as to again ignite his own prema, thus overwhelming his composure.
His composure, yeah. So this is when I was learning to do, some years ago, I was learning to do yajna, homa, and when we invoke a specific form of Agni to be present for the specific homa, then you do nyas, it's called, where you hold your hand like this and you chant the Gopal mantra. And then you apply that Gopal mantra through different hand gestures onto the form of Agni. So a bit complicated. And then, so there is a kind of, this is, I think it's, this is known as Tantra, yeah, the Vaishnava Tantra, where one applies mantra. The one actually, it says here is worshipping the mantra. So that means there's actually a, as far as I can understand, okay, there's chanting the mantra, but then there's worship of the mantra as well. So that's what's being explained here. This is Vaishnava Tantra that's being explained. I'm not expert on all the details of it, but it's interesting that he's being taught that. Yeah, in other words, he's not just been taught to chant the mantra. He's been taught a sadhana of worship, of archana, yeah, on how to worship the mantra. For your interest, Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions? Yeah.
How to meditate, like in a way, put tilak on the body with chanting the different names. No?
Yeah, it's called nyas, where you invoke the different. You invoke the mantra as sometimes it's described as a kavacha. You invoke the mantra on different limbs of the body, and that's what Mother Yasoda would do to protect Krishna. Yeah, out of paternal affection for Krishna, when any demons would show up and Krishna would be on the scene and the demon would be dead, she would wave him with a cow's tail, and she would chant and apply mantras to the Lord's body for protection. So you might sometimes see these type of details there. Yeah. And Sanat Goswami is giving that here. Yeah.
Okay, text 6. He then said, because you are very dear to me, I have now given you everything I possess. By the power of this mantra, you will understand and attain everything on your own. Commentary. We should not doubt that the Guru, simply by a few words and gestures, could teach Gopal-Kumara everything that was to know. Though true spiritual knowledge cannot be achieved merely by collecting information. It can be gained by the mercy of one spiritual master, which awakens transcendental knowledge naturally in one's heart. As the Guru indicates here, Gopal-Kumara, by the power of mantra, will comprehend everything, not only what he has just learned, but also things yet to be learned. Text 7. With great joy, I fell to his feet, and then all at once he was gone. He had gone elsewhere unnoticed. Text 8. I tried hard to calm my mind, which was pained by his departure. I reverentially began to chant my mantra as instructed. Commentary. Chanting of the mantra that worship the Supreme Lord should result in liberation even if the chanting is done irregularly. Still, if one wants to reach liberation easily, without delay, one should chant according to the rules and regulations given by the spiritual master.
Yeah, just like we, upon the initiation and receiving mantra, there is rules that's given, and we get the 10 offenses. Yeah. Normally in some Vaishnava traditions, ancient Vaishnava traditions, then the guru gives a deity. He gives the generally initiation generally refers to Diksha initiation refers to the Gopal mantra or the Kamadev mantra. Yeah. And they have a deity. They get sometimes they may be given a deity to worship. Yeah. So we get, when we get, generally there's something called Harinam initiation. Yeah. Sometimes it's referred to as Harinam Diksha, but the actual Diksha is actually being initiated into chanting of the Brahma Gayatri, of the Gayatri mantras, and specifically special. Well, all of them are very, very important. So why am I saying that? Because we have rules and regulations for the mantra to be effective. Yeah? That's to chant without offense. And we've been instructed when to chant the Maha Mantra every day. Yeah. Nityam, every day. All right. I'll have a little read. Text 9. The importance of the spiritual master is being emphasized here. Yeah. Spiritual knowledge cannot be achieved merely by collecting information. There's grace and mercy that's needed. Yeah. Okay, text 9. I then saw my body change into form transcendental to the 5 material elements. And as I traveled upwards, so he's in Mathura, now he's traveling upwards again, it seems. As I traveled upward, breaking through the sphere of the sun, I saw all the planetary systems. So this is the path of the yogis, yeah? This is described in quite some detail in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami describes this path. Commentary. Gopal-Kumara saw his own body change from a product of the material elements into a transcendental body. To achieve this perfection, he was not forced to die, to give up one body in exchange for another. Rather, his body became refined so that he was able to travel through the coverings of the universe and enter the abode of liberation. There's an interesting purport where Srila Prabhupada describes that the Pandavas achieved the spiritual world in their self-same bodies. Yeah. They just got beamed up. Anyone used to watch Star Trek? Beam me up, Scotty. So they got beamed up in their self-same bodies, but I'm sure those bodies were spiritualized. That's what has happened to Gopal-Kumara. Yeah. The doorway to liberation is the sun, which accomplished celibates and Vaishnavas pass through on their way out of the material world. Yeah, the Sisumara is called the Sisumara, the path of the sun. I think it's called the Sisumara. Greatly accomplished yogis will follow the rays of the sun. Yeah? And they voluntarily leave their... So Gopal-Kumara broke through the sphere of the sun and traveled upwards, seeing all 14 worlds as he passed beyond them. I saw that these planets, tainted by many faults, adorned with mere reflections of happiness, were but products of illusion, no better than what one sees in the flight of fancy or dream. The attractions one sees in a daydream or night dream exist only in one's own mind, and even that private existence is brief, and the reality one sees while awake is shared and persistent. Yet within the material universe, all the worlds are dreamlike shadows of spiritual reality. Their happiness but a shadow of real happiness. Right, so we're entrapped within the shell of this universe. So we don't have perception. we don't have an objective perception to be able to fully comprehend that this place is temporary. Yeah, okay, we may philosophically say so, but Gopal-Kumara is practically seeing, yeah, on his journey, he's looking down and seeing the inadequacies of the material realm. I mean, we hear about it every day. This world is full of janma mrityu jayaradi dukkha doshana dasanam. And we see it practically, and we experience it practically, and we see it practically. But the great Vaishnavas like Gopal-Kumara, they have, it's not just theoretical. Yeah. And devotees also, we can have, by the mercy of the Lord, we can see through the so-called attractiveness of this world and see it to be actually full of misery. We can't, even while we're here. But generally we have a problem because we think this place is all in all, because that's the paradigm that we move in. Just like Lord Brahma thought he was the only Lord Brahma, isn't it? That story where he goes to Dwarka, isn't it? And he has told to wait outside, and which Brahma are you? What do you mean, which Brahma am I? And then the Lord manifests thousands and millions of Brahmas. So we're very much like that, you know. So great mercy has been given to Gopal-Kumara.
It's because we're conditioned, right?
Yeah, we are conditioned to this world of matter. So, yeah, so we have a limited, we have a kind of a blinkered, we have a blinkered, a blinkered understanding. Yeah, you know, like a horse, it has blinkers on it. You know, you've seen that horses sometimes they have these, the horse, especially when they're used to transport things. So so they don't get distracted looking left or right. They put blinkers on horses, you know, these big black things here. So they can't see left or right. They can only see in front. So the same as we're kind of, but by reading this account, we are seeing more actually. Yeah, by the grace of Gopal-Kumara. Okay, text 11. The planets I had earlier attained one by one over a long period of time. All right, so now he's going past all those planets that he's been to. All right, that's clear. I now crossed in the blink of an eye, as if by the power of my mind alone. Gopal-Kumara had visited Swaga, Maha, Tapas, and Satya and stayed for a while. Yeah, we read all of that on each of these planets. Now he was passing over these same planets at the speed of the mind. It might be said that since these planets are nothing more substantial than assemblages of the gunas of material nature, they no longer appear independently real to someone who has subdued his mind, and so, in this sense, passing out of this universe is but an effort of the mind. But since Gopal-Kumara physically broke through the sphere of the sun, he did have to exert himself. Therefore, the qualification iva, as if, is here added to the word manasa, by the mind. Yeah, quite technical. Yes. So I think hinting at here that we have to also transgress, or not transgress, or we have to transcend the different material spheres that can be obtained within this material world while we're here in this self-same body. We have to keep our mind focused on Goloka, on Mathura. Because we read Bhagavatam, we read about the heavenly planets. So we should be careful that we're not subtly cultivating a desire to enter into these fantastical material realms, you know. We want Goloka. We should make that as our goal. And that will be our goal if we hear about it. If we don't hear about it, it's highly unlikely it will be our goal. Yeah. All right. Text 12. Hare Krishna. Hundreds of devotees with us today. Anyone out there has a question? Okay, text 12. Anyone listen to the recording? If you have a question, you can put it in there. Put it on the YouTube thing. Next, I reached the coverings of the universe, each of them more so than the one before, was rich with enjoyments and opulences, millions of times greater than on Brahmaloka. Each covering of the universe is 10 times thicker than the one before it, and millions of times greater in enjoyment and opulences. All right, that's interesting. So the coverings of the universes, it sounds like there's a society and there's people within the coverings of the universe, isn't it? So he's reached the coverings of the universe, each of them more so than one before, was rich with enjoyments and opulences, million times greater than on Brahmaloka. All right. So he's passing through the air, the ether, what is it, the different coverings? Earth, air, ether, and even there's a covering of false ego, what that looks like, what that manifests. But here it seems like that these places are places of variety, material variety, where one can enjoy materially, it seems. Okay. Never seen that before. Never come across that before. Wonderful about this book. Okay, text 13 and 14. Mother Lavangalataka still there? Mother Anupama still there? Say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Very good.
Hare Krishna.
Souls who have transcended the false attributes of created things, so that who aspire for gradual liberation, strive also to go beyond the causative elements of creation. Elements found again as false attributes in comparison to the spiritual world. Okay? In what is known as the subtle body. To do this, they enter the shell formed of each element. All right, they enter in a body composed of that element and enjoy to their full desire the essence of the pleasure to be had there. Yeah, this is mentioned in, again, second canto by Sukadeva Goswami. Describes that the soul who's transcending the material realms, he takes on different subtle bodies to pass through these different realms, these different coverings. Yeah. Yeah, quite wonderful, isn't it? Amazing. Commentary. When a jiva on his way out of the material universe is passing through its coverings, avaranas, he is provided a body made of the subtle element he is passing through. Otherwise, mere proximity to these concentrated masses of elemental energy would destroy his body at once. In each successive covering, the jiva finds wonderful opportunities for more refined material enjoyment. Since the material creation exists mainly for the jiva's enjoyment, these original reservoirs of the material elements brim with resources for pleasure. The grosser objects produced from the causal elements, earth, water, fire, and so on, are great sources of sense gratification for conditioned living beings. And the superior subtle forms of matter afford even a better sense enjoyment. In the coverings formed on each element, pleasures from combinations of all the elements are available, just as inside the universe, but in the covering formed of a particular element, that element predominates. In each of the coverings, more happiness is found than on Brahmaloka, and each consecutive covering offers more happiness than the one before. All right. So the objective here is to make it through all of that. and not stop. You know, not stop over. Yeah. So we're going to hear about these different coverings now. I think it is described, though. I think Prabhupada would often describe it, as far as I've understood, that for a devotee who's developed, you know, a Shakti, Bhav, and Prem, then they go straight back to Goloka. There is no fairy-ground ride through these different realms, as far as I understand. Yeah. But still, having said that, subtly, these things will be offered to us. Yeah. Within the mind, within the heart, these things will be offered. So it's one sense it's a test. Yeah. So we have to keep focused on the goal and be very much attached to our specific param gati. Because we will be offered these different opportunities as a test, you know. So any questions on that? So it's good to here now is to be purified, is to engage in intense devotional service, that we can develop real affection for Krishna, real affection for Krishna's associates, real desire to be with Krishna, real desire to be as an associate of Krishna. Yeah. If we're strongly developed, if we're, as Krishna consciousness means to develop these type of desires, yeah, then hopefully we won't stop off at the fun fair before we get to the M1. You can just, no, my Lord, I do not want this. No, my Lord, I do not want that. No, my Lord, I do not want this. No, my Lord, I do not want that. But are you sure you don't want this? No, I don't want this. I don't want that. I only want you. And that's why we have to say, also reading the scripture, Bhagavatam, that we might not make it back in one life. Excuse me. But we won't lose anything, as we know. We'll just continue from our specific spiritual development in the next life. But hopefully our journey is upwards and onwards. Yeah. But there again, Prabhupada says, you count 16 rounds. You go back to Godhead. But whenever Prabhupada says chant 16 rounds, he means without offense. So without offense means Sudanam. Sudanam means Krishna's present. Yeah. And all the spiritual world is present. So when Prabhupada says chant 16, I think we can safely say it's not by chanting 16 offensive rounds that you go back to Godhead. No. Because the priti won't be developed by chanting with offense. You know? Even at least the clearing stage should be there.
I remember asking you this question actually long time ago. Because I read it somewhere about you on the way home, you see so many nice things, and you want to stay here, you want to stay here. We have to be so fixed that
and it just reminds me, I always find it amusing when I go to the airport. You know, you get past the, go through the cattle, thing, where they check your luggage, and then you take your laptops out, take your shoes off. There's a whole big thing, But then you get through, and then before you get to your gate, you have to pass through, sometimes they make these paths that you go through all these, what they call it, duty-free goods.
Yeah.
And it's created like a heavenly planet. There's one where the path is black with crystals in it, shiny. And it takes you through all these perfumes, really stupid.
Yeah.
And so it's and most people don't make it to the gate. Most people get captured, and they end up spending money on stuff, But we have to, that's why I always think when I'm going through that part, no, I just, there's nothing here for me. There's nothing here for me. And let me just keep going past all this stuff. You know, sometimes devotees don't make it, they get sidetracked.
Most do, they go into these little boutiques and go here and then looking at, and to me, I feel like, when can I get to the gate, sit down there, get my baby? That's it. You know,
but it's okay if you're looking to buy some perfume for Krishna. Well, you might need some drinking water, that's fine, or something, you know, some rubbish food to eat on the plane. But anyway, I always think of that when we're going through the airport. We have to, you know, the goal, we have to get focus on the plane, focus on our goal, but don't get distracted. So that's a relatively easy one to go through. Anyway, Hare Krishna, some food for thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are 13, 14, right?
Yeah, we're on 15, 16. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting, isn't it? Now it's very interesting. I find this book so interesting. So wonderful. I'm really happy I'm reading it. Okay, thank you, everyone. And if anyone's listened to a recording and you like it, give a thumbs up. It's encouraging. You like the conversation. Please ask some questions if you feel so inspired or things are not clear. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Hare Krishna.
Next
Krishna.
Krishna Katha.
Monday?
Yes,
Okay?
I'll be here in London, Shvara. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.